Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, where you're listening on live internet radio throughout the world, as well as watching here and listening on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. We appreciate you being here. We thank you so much inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And with multiple locations around Syracuse, New York, we implore you to head out there today or grab some local delivery or their mobile cafe. You can have them come to you and fill out that form by simply going to cafekubal.com or to wakeupcalldt.com, going on the Central New York tab and clicking on Cafe Kubal. With that being said, it is my true honor and privilege to feature my special guest that's here with us this morning. It's the first time he's ever been on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You know that we are no strangers to having Syracuse alum always join the show, and it is with a true honor and a true privilege, like I said, to have Roland Williams here with us. He is a father of three, spent almost a decade in the NFL, is a Super Bowl champion, and played at tight end. I spent a lot of time with the Rams and the Raiders, and also before that with Syracuse. So with all of that being stated, it is truly, truly a great day when I get to say, for the first time ever, welcome to Wake Up Call, Roland Williams. Roland, how you doing today?
I'm doing spectacular, man. Thank you for the kind introduction.
Absolutely, and the fans are very happy that you're here. I'm excited for you to be here, Roland. Bring me back to Syracuse days. I watched you play here. I was born and raised in Syracuse. I've lived in Pennsylvania and Florida and found my way back to Syracuse, started my company a little over 8 years ago when I came back home. I have seen Syracuse football since I was a baby. I think my first game my dad showed me when I was probably, when he was probably rocking me to sleep one night. I was wearing an SU sweatshirt when I think I was 1, so there's a picture of that back in the day. So I love my hometown and love the people that have come through here and, and done it justice. Bring me back to those Syracuse days and what you take away from Syracuse with hindsight being 2020.
Well, as a guy that grew up in Rochester up the road, I was always a fan of Syracuse, but more for basketball, being a basketball state. My love for football and coming to Syracuse camp was my first time being introduced to the great legacy of Syracuse from a football perspective. And all I can say is that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my experiences, right? The great people, the great connections, just literally a place where I sort of came from boy to becoming a man. And it was great. The players I played with on the team were extremely talented, from the Donovan McNabbs to the Rob Conrad, Orlando Mare, Keith Bullock, Donovan, Darius. I mean, it's been a long list, to Bucky Jones. I mean, Kevin Johnson. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? Marvin Harrison. I was grateful to be around all those great players. They made us better. We made each other better. And to this day, I'm proud to be an Orange.
Roland, and you bring up all those names. I mean, you arguably, outside of the Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, Floyd Little times, you played in the greatest time of Syracuse football history. Outside of that, you name off, the Marvin Harrisons and the Kevin Johnsons and Donovan McNabbs and Keith Bullock and to Bucky Jones. And I mean, you're not just talking about players that were good at Syracuse. You're talking about NFL draft picks. You're talking about guys that led teams, guys that got to the Super Bowl yourself, that got to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. I mean, how amazing is it to look back on history and to know that those names that were in the locker room, those people that you consider friends, Rob Conrad as well, I want to make mention of him, love Rob Conrad. The players that you're mentioning, you had the honor and the privilege to be with them. They had the honor and privilege to be with you. And like I said, arguably the best time of Syracuse football since the Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, Floyd Little years. What does that mean to you when you look back on that?
To me, what meant most is that how far we've come. When I first got there as a freshman, it was one of the first times, Syracuse hadn't gone to a bowl game in a while. And to have that pain, I've never gone to a bowl game, so I didn't know what I was missing. But the pain from the seniors and the looks on their face and the commitment from our group as young players to never let that happen again. And so starting out from going to the Liberty Bowl, right, that first year, our first bowl game, was just an opportunity to regain our respect, and I'll be forever grateful for the guys and in those moments of where we brought Syracuse back to respectability and were able to knock off the Miami Hurricanes for the first time. That felt so good for all the Orange past.
And speaking here with Roland Williams in Syracuse in NFL history as well as Super Bowl champion, Roland, for you, when you look back on those memories and those times and all the good times that you had, what is maybe one memory that sticks out most when it comes to Syracuse on the field, and then maybe one off the field? What's maybe something that you had off the field that just really stays with you when I mentioned Syracuse, and then maybe that moment on the field that you can always go back to when you see the orange and blue?
Well, I would definitely say that on the field was coming into that Carrier Dome when it was packed out, and the noise was deafening, and other teams could literally not hear themselves think inside the dome. Syracuse, like I said, is known for basketball, but boy, oh boy, when we was winning in football, our football fans was more excited. I think for all the football folks, it was even more exciting in the Carrier Dome when it was packed all the way out with 50,000 plus people. Off the field, I would probably say it was me graduating, getting my degree. I had a chance to go to undergrad and grad school at Syracuse, and I was the first one in my immediate family to even go to a four-year college. And so to be sitting there with my diploma, it was also a great moment inside the dome. But just to cross the finish line on something I had dreamed about since I was a kid was huge, and a great moment I want to pass on to my kids.
And Roland, to be a father, not once, not twice, but three times, what can you say about, what you've learned? Is it, like you said, you want to pass it on to your kids, and you got to start something special in your family, like you said, in going to college and getting your degree and whatnot. Now that you have that and you can now pass that on to your children, what can you tell me about being a dad? What have you learned about yourself? Because the game is going to challenge you, but the game will not challenge you the way that being a father will so uniquely challenge you. So
you are so accurate. Spoken like a true dad. Spoken like a dad. So the first thing I'll say is, everybody, hey, young guys who don't have kids yet, take your time. Please make sure that you are prepared to have children before you have them, and that's mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, dare I say. The other one I'll tell you is I think that my experience in being a dad has been a learning opportunity for me too. I've learned more about myself. I'm able to confront some things from my childhood. My sons are just great examples of what's possible, right? They have unlimited potential, and it's up to us to try to bring it out the best way we can. And so I'm growing as a dad. I'm growing. I got my oldest is a senior in high school. My youngest is 10 years old, and I'm doing my best. And I'm gonna keep doing it. And I think it's a fun challenge.
And what have you found to be, being a father, what has been the most challenging thing that you don't feel like maybe you were ready for or that you could prepare for?
I think, unfortunately, it's the cost of success and putting them in situations that is unique that I didn't have to sort of deal with. One of the trade-offs of being successful, being an African American male, it is when you get successful, you move away from your neighborhoods you used to growing up in. You move out to areas and environments where 99% of the people don't look like you. And our gated community months has been a peach cake, right? And some of our challenges and trying to figure out how we're going to deal with them collectively without returning with negative energy and hate and frustration.
Yeah, and speaking here with Roland Williams, a Syracuse and NFL alum, Super Bowl champion, you bring up, what's going on in our society and the social justice issues. It's always been a focal point. I mean, I'm 34 years old. There's not a day in my life where I haven't felt like everybody should be treated equally and positively. And I think that's important, to not say that we're asking for equality, but equality in a positive manner, that everybody's treated well, not just treated something. And, I think that when we look at life, it's very hard for me to understand, because I don't come from a place of hate. I don't come from a place of racism or sexism or prejudice. I can't understand it because it doesn't make sense to, my heart and my mind, which wants to love and wants to, treat everybody equally. In such a difficult time, Roland, I want people to know this, and I know I've said it on the show, for the black community, that you are a member of, that your family is a member of this beautiful and extremely talented and wonderful and kind community that does not get the respect it deserves. For over 400 years, it's been this way. But now that we have social media, and now that we've been home and everybody's kind of going stir crazy, it's been more prevalent. To some people, they think it's happening more, where it's not happening more, it's just happening more on screen. How have you addressed that with your children? How have you addressed it with yourself to know that racism has never really gone away? It's just now more kind of thrown in our faces because people have camera phones, people have social media, people are live streaming, and you can't really hide from it anymore.
Well, I think that's an interesting question. For me, as someone who's a black man and with black children, racism and some of these challenges and systematic oppression has always been a part of my life, has always been a part of, the narrative, making sure how we move, what we say, what we're allowed to say, how we show up, everything's automatically, judged and taken out of context. It is not a far-fetched for people to say, you're such an articulate person. Wow, you speak so well. That's told for being, you're so not like my stereotypical thinking or reality of a black person. But what I think that this whole last few months have done is, I think it's really exposed to people who are not black, right? To have a reconciliation and to be confrontational with a narrative that we all know deep down has happened for a long time. And so the new hashtag that's growing is silence is compliance.
Yeah.
And although you may not personally be racist, although you may personally not be, I'm sure that you know individuals who do judge people by the character of their skin or literally their name on a resume. There's been tons of research behind it. We know that there's an implicit bias that comes with literally someone just being black versus white. The exact same resume, the exact same credentials, just literally. And so we have to not be silent as a nation. We have to call out people for saying these old attitudes, are not indicative of a reality. No different than some police officers' actions aren't indicative of all, right? And no different than that you shouldn't judge a police officer by its worst offenders. You shouldn't judge a race of people by its worst offenders. You shouldn't judge a type of person based off their worst, right? That's not fair. And so I think that what I'm hoping is happening is that more people are taking stock of their own universe, and whenever they see racism, bigotry, or anything remotely to supporting or endorsing police brutality and lack of accountability, I think they're going to speak up. Because if you speak up in your area, I believe that if you handle business in your own house, you put enough of those together, you'll change a neighborhood. If you start changing neighborhoods, you'll change towns and cities. You change enough cities, you change a state. You change enough states, you'll change a nation. You change a nation, it can change the world.
And I think that was so eloquently put, Roland, and so amazingly put, of starting small, starting in your own home, and how quickly that can domino effect into changing the world, because hate is taught at home. Love is taught at home. And, you know, for you, I think being a father, it's something that I've sat down with and thought about when I'm speaking with my friends who are parents, and to say to them, I think the only thing more disgusting and terrible and kind of just sad about the world is that as a member of the black community, Roland, you have gone through racism, but as a father, you will, unless things change, undeniably go through racism again through your children. And I can't imagine going through it the first time the way that maybe it's happened, but to go through it again, and the fact that I would venture to say it's probably worse to go through racism through the eyes of your kids. What can you say in that respect of saying, listen, I've been through it, but I can't fathom seeing that with my children?
You're right. That's all I can say about the first premise, because it does hurt when it's your sons. When your 7-year-old son comes home and he's upset and crying and saying they call him a monkey, or why do they call him a monkey, or why do they always make him go last, and different things like that are those microaggressions that are direct and indirect, that are extremely hurtful for young people. It impacts self-esteem and self-worth when 99% of the people who are authority figures that you're around don't look like you, and there's no diversity in education or anything. There are messages that are being communicated, right? They're not always overt aggressive racism, but they're things that challenge young people's thoughts and their words, and then sometimes their actions. For me, as a dad, this is why I believe that it's important that we continue to hold the line on being the change that we want to seek. I think it's important that you're doing shows like you're doing right now to continue to bring up a reality of our country and a part of our past, and also let's call each other out to say let's fix it. It doesn't have to be this way, right? We don't have to continue down this path, and silence is compliance. And I think those are that's the sleeping giant of change that we have, and hopefully shows like this can help. It's those who literally will just be like, I'm not that, and then just stay quiet, knowing full well that it exists and there's a benefit from it.
Yeah, and to speak, coming off of that, Roland, it is ever important to not stay silent. And I do agree with you that silence is compliance. I've said that statement more times than I can count in these last few months, and I've said it in other situations. You keep your mouth shut on something. Silence is compliance, and you have to. And I think that one of the other things kind of going off of that we've seen a lot in social media is you can't straddle the fence anymore, right? You can't say like I'm okay with this, but I'm not okay with that. You can't say like, oh, as long as racism doesn't touch my family, then I don't like it, but I'm okay with it. People can't stay in the middle anymore and kind of lean to one side if it suits them and lean to the other side. You have to make a choice. And I think what you brought up in looking at authority is that most of it doesn't look, if the authority doesn't look like you, and you're going to school and you don't have that sense, it's why, the questions of asking why. And you brought up something that it, unfortunately, is not the first time it's been brought up here on Wake Up Call, is the notion of you speak really well for a black person. Oh, wow, you dress well for a black person. So the connotation is that, it's okay. So then the average black person doesn't dress well, can't speak, can't do this, can't take care of themselves. Like, that to me is it's insane, because you don't ever, I never hear people say, wow, you speak really well. I've never been in a room where somebody's talked to someone and said, you speak really well for a white person. You dress really well for a white person. So it's something in, right. And it's something in society that people have almost become eerily comfortable with. And, my blood is from a bunch of different places. I'm Italian, Hispanic, and Sudanese. And so being Italian, people will say things that they don't people say things in front of you that they've just decided, well, they've been said enough in society, so it's okay to say them. Or, a certain, I won't say it on the show, but, Hispanic words and whatnot.
I know exactly what you mean. And then the funny part is the other side of this whole coin is, well, not the other side, but it's individuals sometimes look to judge.
Yeah.
And put everyone into a box. The very act of judging a whole race of people with one-offs like, well, the reason they don't have enough teachers is because they don't have enough talented people, maybe, or these ridiculous notions that are not founded in fact are a big part of why racism and some of these things exist. And I just saw a great, amazing a video. And I think that the video is called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. I think that for anybody who wants to because we don't have enough time to get into all these topics, the individual who did it, his last name was actually a Jew. He actually played football for Texas, I think, and the Browns. And he did a great job of articulating and explaining some of the conversations that many people have, and the one-offs, right? And asking about Black Lives Matter and the conversation of that versus All Lives Matter, and just really did a good job of just trying to unpack these things in a succinct way. So, uncomfortable conversations with the black man, I think it was a healthy thing. And I think it's actions like that is how we're going to improve each person's household brick by brick.
That coming from Roland Williams. Roland, before I let you go, and I appreciate all that, and like you said, there's a lot of things to unpack and a lot of conversations to have. And you are all, I know it's the first time that you've been here, but you are obviously always welcome back. And I always I love the conversations that open up doors and windows, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of plan for the future and talk about a lot of different things. But I want to jump back on the field here for a second.
Let's go.
And I want to jump on the field because I can honestly tell you I've never been like I'm a Rams fan, yes, the Rams, and I'm the Rams all day. But I will tell you, because and people know listening to the show, I've Jacksonville since '95. But as a broadcaster, I'm impartial. And setting that up, what I mean by this is when I watch the Rams play the Titans, I loathe, in the comfort of my own home, the Titans, because they're in the same division as Jacksonville. And then the Rams, I love Kurt Warner. I loved watching Kurt Warner. But as much as, I say, you loathe it as a fan for Jacksonville, all the respect in the world for Steve McNair, Eddie George, Kevin Dyson, so much great talent, Frank Wycheck on that team. And then on your team, though, I was kind of like a closet Rams fan that season, because I loved watching Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, catching out of the backfield. Who did it better than Marshall? And so you have that, and then you had Robert Holcomb, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, yourself, Azahir Hakeem. So much talent on that offense, and then kind of just throughout, looking at everybody on both sides, the London Fletchers and the Javon Curse and all this, and Blaine Bishop and so on and so forth. These teams were stacked, and you played in a Super Bowl that was decided by a half of an inch. So bring me into playing in that game, which was and this is what I'm saying. The whole part of the setup was, as much as I wasn't a fan of either of these teams growing up, I watched this game and can still dial it up and pick it up in my brain and see that final moment with Kevin Dyson on the ground. I can see that like I was a fan for, a million years. I can bring this play up of the Super Bowl, bring me into one of the greatest Super Bowls I think ever played.
Well, as a player in that game, the backstory is, for those that are too young to even know the context, the team I played on with the Rams, we were called the greatest show on turf. And we were called that because of the amount of points we scored. We broke and shattered NFL offensive records for lighting up the scoreboard every single game.
Yeah.
I was a fantasy football best friend. I had 7 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, we love you, man.
And so I was definitely a sleeper. But I think for us as players, we were expecting to blow Tennessee Titans out. We had beat them once already in the season, and we knew they were inferior to us. And unfortunately for us, we played so much football. They knew what they were up against, and they prepared extremely well. And so that game was much more closer than it should have been. But we respect them, and they're extremely talented. Winning the game for us was an expectation of a long journey. We were the only team in NFL history to go from worst to first in 1 year. No team has ever done it before or since. Worst to first in 1 year. And so that game in our mind was for us to win. Whether we win by 100 or 10, we weren't leaving off that field without this victory. And so I think that our coaches, our players, everyone who ever supported the Rams, who had never won a Super Bowl, that's the other backstory, had never won one on any level, to win that Super Bowl was an experience that has changed my life. I mean, literally, I still benefit. I still use the principles that we gained from that experience in every part of my life. And a big part of it is you play hard until there's zeros on the clock.
Yeah. And I know that, we could be here forever when we talk about the names, but just the amount of talent on that field. Kurt Warner, who is bagging groceries before this, Marshall Faulk, Tortora Holtz, Isaac Bruce, Eddie George, and on and on and on. Just bring me into
Orlando Pace. I mean, here's the part. We literally had one of the greatest linemen of NFL history, Orlando Pace, that I worked next to for a long time. Kurt Warner could thread a needle. I swear he could probably thread a needle with a football. I mean, the guy is just pinpoint accurate, speed upon speed upon speed at the receiver position. Defensively, we were a bend but don't break defense, led by London Fletcher, led by Todd Light, Chris, a great human being. Just great guys, man, that we've had. Kevin Carter was a defensive end, DeMarco Farr, another great defensive lineman, reactive. I mean, we had so many guys, right, that were just hard workers. And so when you have a great offense on defense, they didn't get all the credit they deserve. Ray Bly, I mean, Benson McLean. I mean, there's so many talented guys. Anyway, the greatest thing that we did as a team was that we got better as a team. We worked hard from being worst in the league to being first. It reminded me of my Syracuse times, right? Not going to a bowl game and knowing the amount of extra efforts you got to put in to turn things around. We had a whole group of people like that, and I think that's what made us special. And it doesn't hurt to have Marshall Faulk. That it didn't hurt at all. Didn't hurt to have the greatest player I've ever seen on the field on your squad. But just overall, my football career has been extremely blessed. I'm grateful as heck. A kid from Rochester, New York, East High School, came a long ways. Coach Pascaloni came to my house and recruited me down the road, and I'm glad. I'm glad I made the choice, and I'm glad about the journey I've been on.
That coming from Roland Williams. Roland, I want to do something really quick here before we let you go, but I do want to ask you this right before that. You went from last to first. You went from worst to first, and like you said, not something that you see done really in a lot of places, let alone just the NFL, and to go from last place and then win a Super Bowl. What did it take? Because people always look at the finished product, but you were part of the building blocks. You were part of the steps. So I think whether people are playing a sport or doing whatever they're doing in life, whether it's personal, professional, they're in a relationship, in a marriage, being a parent, or they're chasing their dreams, what are those keys, those ingredients to success that you believe can take you from the bottom to the top?
Well, that's a great question. I have a mentoring program in my hometown of Rochester called the Champion Academy. And what we teach our students who come from very challenged backgrounds is the same principles I learned in these journeys of upward ascension. The principles are simple. We call them mental muscles. There's 5 of them. The first one is called unbreakable belief. You have to believe that you can have something happen extraordinary despite the challenges of your past. Next is called ultimate truth. You have to have the ability to be painfully honest with yourself about where you are and what it's going to take for you to get where you want to go. The third key is called conscious courage. You have to be aware of the 10 to 12 decisions you make throughout the day that will take you towards it or away from it. You got to have courage in those moments. Win the day. Win the hour. Win the minute. Fourth, you got to practice something called intentional teamwork. On purpose. Look for people and places and things to help you. Do it on purpose. And last but not least, passionate perseverance. Hang in there. Stay excited. Stay optimistic. Stay proactive. Even though it doesn't happen when you think it should. Just some notes from an old Super Bowl champ. I hope that helps somebody.
Awesome. And, I mean, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to go back and listen to this, Roland, because I know that, as you're saying them, I'm sitting here going, yeah, that's something to take in and it's something to reflect upon and spend some time with. The final piece is called Rapid Fire. And we're here with Roland Williams, a Syracuse and NFL alum and a Super Bowl champion. Roland, I know you spent a few extra minutes with us. I want to thank you for that. And, this is an opportunity for us to rapid fire questions back and forth, 3 and 3. So we'll go back and forth one to one here, and I'll ask you a question, then you'll ask me a question. We'll do that, and I want to give you this opportunity, and I like to give everybody this opportunity because you, as a Super Bowl champion and everything that you're doing, I feel that very rarely, if ever, have you been handed the microphone and been able to ask somebody else the questions. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to be an interviewer. And we'll go back and forth here. It can be about sports. It doesn't have to be. So I'll go first. And normally I go outside of the world of sports, but I want to ask this because it means a lot to me. Syracuse really doesn't recruit locally. They haven't done it really since Paul Pasqualoni. You came from Rochester. You went to Syracuse. Upstate New York was well represented. You go on to the NFL. You win a Super Bowl. There's a lot of great people that come through upstate and central New York. I get to cover these kids on a daily basis. What can you tell me about being recruited by Syracuse and what that meant to you? And kind of secondly to that question, do you think that coaches in Syracuse should get back to recruiting locally?
First, it means an awful lot to represent upstate New York. Being from Rochester, playing for Syracuse, there's a little bit more responsibility that comes with it, right? There's a little more responsibility that comes with playing when you got your family members and your friends only a few hours away.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that coaches should recruit more. They should. They don't. They chase historically big areas. They'll take a fourth receiver from Florida instead of a first receiver from upstate New York. I think it's something that we need to continue to work at, and there's been time and time again of great upstate New York talent that gets overlooked because we don't come from football states. I'll put that in air quotes.
And that is exactly my sentiments that have been here on the show for everybody that's listened and watched. So thank you, Roland, for that and echoing that. What is your first one for me?
All right. Well, my first one for you is an interesting one. We're in the midst of COVID crisis. Okay.
Yep.
Recently, a partner of mine, we started a PPE company, okay, providing masks and all these different things. My question for you is, where do you get your PPE from?
Where do I get my mask from?
Yeah, where do you get your masks and stuff? PPE is it means personal protective equipment. That's what PPE stands for. But
yeah.
Yes, that's the question. Where do you get your PPE?
I get mine from actually, companies that I partner here with in Central New York. The Wildcat Sports Pub and Cafe Kubal, they've provided those. But if you're asking me if I'd be interested in seeing what you guys have, I definitely would. I definitely like to check it out. But yeah, I mean, I've just kind of, the people that we work with, they've just given them to me, and I've worn them. I have the sleeves, and then I have the mask that kind of goes over the ears and whatnot. But yeah, it's kind of just, and I had an N95 mask that was in my garage that my dad had given me if I was working on stuff and whatnot. So I kind of have a smorgasbord of kind of different ones from different places, but I definitely would like to hear a little bit more about yours for sure.
Well, our website is J2medicalsupply.com.
Okay. J2 Medical Supply.
J2medicalsupply.com. You can check it out, and if you email me, we also make privately one of the best custom reusable masks out in the market as well. And I can show you this stuff, man. Good stuff.
Awesome. So that's coming to you from Roland Williams, and I just put it up here so that people can check it out. Roland, my second one for you is, what have you learned most about yourself during COVID-19? What is kind of like that come to Jesus moment for you, Roland, that you really felt like this is something you learned about yourself during these last few months?
Well, one of the things I learned is that I hadn't not flown anywhere and traveled for 5 months straight in my life, like ever, since I was at Syracuse. One of the blessings and the curses, right, of success is that you're always going to go.
Yep.
And I have 3 kids, and I didn't realize the impact of not being around, and that things could be so much better when I'm around. And so it was great to be home, to be present physically, right, to connect with them. And also I realized that there's so much I have to clean up around my house. Jeez. Spring cleaning on steroids. All
right. I feel that, and I can. And the funny thing you said, like the price of success, traveling all the time. I don't think, to echo you, I don't think, and what I've asked of myself in following chasing my dreams, I don't think that I've gone a month or two without being on a plane in I don't know how many years. So it is the weirdest thing in the world for me to be like, and especially to Florida. I haven't been to Florida since December, which is unheard of. So it's a very strange world, and I will tell you, I appreciated my life before, but not as much as I do now. So I would definitely say that.
I was going to ask you, that was going to be my question was going to be that same question. Tell me about COVID and what has been your biggest takeaway.
Well, I'll tell you, Roland, I never liked, I played basketball growing up, and I never liked running. I had the ability to, I would train my body to be able to shoot from anywhere. I felt like God put something in me, and I just tried to hone that skill and work on it and push myself to the brink. And, I would make myself shoot from everywhere. It didn't matter where it was. So that was a side of it that I loved, but I didn't like to run. And I went through, at the beginning of Corona, I also went through a tough personal time. And I made the decision to start walking. And originally it was kind of, a decision that was made towards something else and maybe to repair something. And then it started to become about me after 10 days and after 20 days. And today is day 137 straight of me going at least 10,000 steps a day, at least 5 miles a day. And that command for me is over 1 million steps. I've broken every record that I wanted to get to, every number I wanted to get to by a certain time. I don't stop. If it's 11:57, you can be sure I'm getting to 10,000 before midnight. And, I just realized how badly I want it after 137 days, just like I wanted it after 10 or 20. So that's been a big change. Changed my mind, my body. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy body, healthy mind is a real thing. And I would just say that I'm taking care of myself more now than I ever have. And I've always been about working hard. And the work Dan Tortora, the chase your dreams Dan Tortora, has always been, out there doing his thing. But the take care of yourself and love yourself up as the person that you are, that's been a big change. And I can honestly tell you that if not for heartache, if not for pain, if not for Corona times, I don't know if I would have gotten as focused as I've gotten. And I can tell you that I have absolutely changed my life. And I will never, ever, forget. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for this time, is what I want to say.
Well said. Well said, my friend.
My last one for you, Roland Williams, is if you were the President of the United States, you ran in 2020, and you won this year. And it's not too late to run, Roland, so please do it. But if you were to run this year and you won, what would be the message that you would give at the podium in your acceptance speech?
What would be the main points of my acceptance speech?
Yes, sir.
It was, I think I would, most importantly, highlight the fact of our opportunity to make America great. I won't say the again part,
yeah.
but I think I would be communicating that we have an opportunity now to chart a new course to finally make America fill out the hypothesis, to finally get America headed towards becoming the nation that we're always supposed to be. I think that it will be an opportunity to let's look at things honestly, right? And continue to work on changing things house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, state by state, and then as one nation. I think if we all realize that we're a part of this, that we all can have a role to play, that we all have a role to play in this, I think that just by literally getting our country to participate more in all aspects, whether you agree or disagree, to do so with clarity, right? To do so with mutual respect, decency, right? I think that it's going to fuel our country to be even better in the long run.
Build it small and have that snowball effect. You brought it up before in your household. You brought it up here in this. And Roland Williams, fantastic words today all throughout the conversation. Roland, what is your final question for me?
My final question for you is, what do you think that you can do to be a difference maker to help end racism, bigotry, and encourage police accountability?
I would tell you what I could do is a lot of the things that I've tried to do in my life. I've accepted everybody. I've appreciated everybody. And not on purpose, but my friends are every color of the rainbow when it comes to sexual orientation, ethnicity, background, money, family situation. Some who come from, parents that are divorced, parents that are married. It really, honestly, I think that one of the greatest things you can do in your life is expand your horizon, and to always keep an open mind. If I was racist, if I was prejudiced, if I was sexist, I would have cut myself off from some of the best people I've ever met in my life. If I was my religion and no other religion matters, two of my closest friends wouldn't be my friends. So I would say that I'll continue on the path that I'm on, but I would tell you, Roland, I've really this show was meant to be so much more. That's why the tagline of Wake Up Call has always been where sports meets life, because I use sports as a vehicle, but what I pack in that vehicle is understanding, empathy, concern, love, community, comedy, humbleness. There's so many things I put in the car of sports that I feel like, when you talk to someone about sports, you could bring through the bigger message. I mean, I called the show Wake Up Call not just because it's in the morning, but because it's meant to be a wake-up call. It's meant to be a show where people think and genuinely change for the better. So I would say I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing with my show, but I would love to do more public speaking. I'd love to get out to more places. I'd love to travel the world and get my message out there. And I would love to continue to link up with people like yourself to have valuable, honest, and true conversations. And when I say people like you, Roland, it's somebody who came from upstate New York like me, somebody who believed in himself when he was, probably not highly sought after or got a lot of stars or whatever it may be. I can appreciate people from afar, but with all the followers you have, with being a Super Bowl champion, with everything that you've got, you are still humble, kind, and gracious with your time to come on the show today. And I think that the conversations that I can have with people of all different colors, ethnicities, religions, backgrounds, political beliefs, the more I can continue to do what I've already done and did well before George Floyd and well before Breonna Taylor and well before Jacob Blake. I think I just continue to do that. But hopefully God will give me larger and larger stages, and we can continue to spread a message of solidarity, of love, of faith, hope, and the true American dream, which should be justice for all and equal opportunity for every single person.
Amen.
That's what I got, Roland. But with that coming from Roland Williams, a Syracuse and NFL alum, Super Bowl champion, father of three, probably most importantly to Mr. Roland Williams. Roland, thank you for this time. I know it's your first time here on the show, but I would be absolutely happy to welcome you back again, and I thank you so very much for being so gracious this morning.
You're quite welcome, and I will absolutely come back. Maybe during Super Bowl week.
Yes, maybe once. Maybe I should have you come on with Kevin Dyson. Can we set that up? Can we make that happen?
Funny.
Thank you so much, Roland. And please, above all things, take care of those kids, love them up, and I hope that you have a great day, and I hope you continue to stay safe, okay?
All right, brother.
All right, take care. Coming from Roland Williams here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora once again. I want to thank you all for tuning into today's show. Fantastic. And first time that Roland and I ever spoke. And I'm so happy that we got to do this today. And hearing "all right, brother" at the end of all that, that makes you feel good. It's those little things, right? It's when you know you made a connection that means so much. So thank you so much to Roland Williams. We'll take a step aside for our final fast break at today's show. That was awesome. And we will wrap everything up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll tie it with a nice little bow right after this, where sports truly meets life.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here. which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store today. You'll have the entire menu at your fingertips, including all of the breakfast items as well as their healthy bowls like the quinoa bowls and whatnot, salads, their homemade breads, homemade desserts, and all of their sandwich concoctions of over 30 different sandwiches, all named after families that helped to settle what is today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community, ingrained in our taste buds. That is the Millhouse Market. And with contactless pay and a drive-up window where you don't even have to get out of your car to pick up your food, they're helping us to be safe during these times and still get the flavors that we love. Thank you so much to the Millhouse Market. Whether you're a mile away or 30 miles down the road, whatever it may be, Millhouse Market is worth the drive every time on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. With that being stated, I want to thank my tremendous guest this morning, Papa Joe, for being here, as he always is every Thursday, and for Roland Williams for being here for the first time. I want to thank both of you for a tremendous show, a tremendous experience, a tremendous time together to speak on so many different things in our world and the bigger picture things as well. Roland, thank you for not only being here today, but saying that you'll come back. That means the world. And Papa Joe, thank you for changing my life and being a fantastic father figure to me. Inside of Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factories, what's poppin'? My two guests, tremendous. And for what's to come with Roland, as we just started that today, having him on the show for the first time ever inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, to what continues with Papa Joe. I appreciate you so very much. Make sure you search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, MixLR, Podbean, the RSS feed, iHeart Radio, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well. And, of course, you could find us here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. You're listening on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. But you know we always go after 11 because that's just what we do here. Under promise, over deliver. Want to thank all of our beautiful and wonderful Central and Upstate New York partners. It's now imperative for you more than ever to support CNY. Use the hashtag that I started at the beginning of Corona times. Support CNY. and send it to us. When you're supporting Central New York, supporting these businesses, send me a message on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, or Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and use the hashtag SupportCNY. I want to thank Alicia, who just sent us a message about her trip to Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory for some back-to-school snacks and tagging us both in that. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Honda City of Liverpool, Avicoli's, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, K9 Campground and K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Trapper's Pizza Pub, Borio's Restaurant, the Millhouse Market, and our beverages of choice that are always right over my shoulder here, Body Armor and Coca-Cola. I want to thank you all for all that you do. I want to implore you to join us on social media. Greg, thank you for your wonderful and kind and amazing words. They made my day. And shout out to Ross as well for always making my day, brother. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a good day. Tell your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues where to be every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And to always be with us. If you haven't linked up with us yet, make sure you do so for free on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. In the meantime, have a great and fantastic Thursday. Enjoy the safe, healthy, and happy return of football. Houston at Kansas City. I'm going with Kansas City, the reigning Super Bowl champions. I will be selecting them tonight. I hope you have a great night, and make sure you follow us tomorrow on the show. At the Annoying Moment of the Week every Friday to start off the show, brought to you by Carvel DeWitt at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:30. We will do Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver with Juanita Ward, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero and the fantastic people there. We will get into the Top Dog of the Week, which will have some really cool conversations, Q&As that I had with Syracuse football. That'll happen, brought to you by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Campground Dog Boarding. The Top Dog of the Week being announced at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And right after that, we will have some very awesome conversations on our fantasy football and all that is to come. In the meantime, like I said, have a great day. Treat each other well. Be safe, be happy, and stay open-minded. And please use your heart and your mind and your body and your soul only to love and never to hate. If you want to see a change in this world, be the change that you want to see. God bless, no stress, do your best as always, and I'll talk to you soon.